Sheila Isaac is a Mi'kmaq lawyer from Listugouche First Nation, Quebec. She's a program manager, Indigenous Women in Community Leadership at the Coady International Institute at St. Francis Xavier University in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. Sheila has a BA major in political science, Concordia University, Montreal, and a Bachelor of Law from the University of Ottawa. She received her call to the bar in 1998 with the Law Society of Upper Canada. Sheila has previously worked as a policy analyst with national Aboriginal organizations, federal agencies, and was a band manager for her First Nation for 3 years. So welcome, Sheila. So Sheila, I'd like you to address this question, which is, how do Aboriginal women lead, and is their leadership style different from Aboriginal male leadership?
Thank you. I work in Antigonish in Nova Scotia on a national program for Aboriginal women leaders and community development. And what I've learned from the women that I work with over the year is that, and I think that we all know this as Aboriginal women, that we're leaders already. I mean, we've been around for as leaders since we started doing work in the family, right? Doing work in the home, taking care of our brothers and sisters, taking care of our children when we get children. So we become leaders because we're organizing, we're figuring things out for people, we're keeping things in order in the home and in the workplace and in school, not just for ourselves but for everybody else in our life. So what I understand about the difference between men and women is that a lot of times when women are discussing things, they discuss things because they're trying to find answers and solutions. So they're sharing ideas, and they're really open-minded to hearing what everybody else has to say, because they don't want to make a decision that's just going to affect themselves. They want to make decisions that are going to affect everybody around them as well. So their concern is with everybody. While men's goal, I believe, is always to be action-oriented. How do we get to that resolution of that problem? How do we get there quick? And how do we try to figure this out? So it's like they're trying to figure it out for us, without seeking from all of their other buddies how to get to this solution. So the difference there is that women share their ideas. Women are looking for participation from the other women that they're seeking knowledge from, or men that they're seeking knowledge from. So they don't have a problem revealing who they are or what their experiences are as well to come to that answer. Men focus rather not so much on the conversation of it, but on the conversation of how to get that resolution, like I said earlier. Men want to be in charge. Men want to they want to have that power, when women don't really want to be in charge, but they'll work together to get to that answer. So they try to maintain relationships when men are not really trying to maintain relationships. They're more, they want to be in charge and try to get to that answer and be the person who solves that problem. As part of our program at the Indigenous Women in Community Leadership, as you can see on the board, we do work, we do case study work. If you don't mind to click on the case study part, right there. And maybe scroll down a little bit. So we have a few case studies in our program. Because our program is 4 months long, and we're working with Aboriginal women across the country to build on their leadership skills and community development. That is the main purpose of our program. So a lot of the work that we do is work on case studies that affect women in their communities. So you can see the woman of Broken Head, the second case study. The lady there started off really on the streets of, well, didn't start off there, but she was on the streets of Winnipeg, and she moved up. We don't want to go into it, I just want to kind of be on that page. She was on alcohol and drugs, and she ended up getting a lot of help. And she went back to her First Nation community and started off as a receptionist in her First Nation community. And as a woman leader, she was learning about what was happening in her community and why she was in the situation she was in, and she ended up moving towards how do we get to this resolution. And she was trying to find a resolution to the problems in her community by speaking to the people in her community. And she ended up moving from receptionist up into another position and up to another position, and finally ending up into the chief position. And as a chief in her community, by speaking to a lot of people in her community, she was able to make Broken Head one of the advanced communities in the area. And they brought forward a casino, and they made a lot of change. And they did that by working together, working with neighboring communities, building on self-esteem, because they felt that was something that was really important that they had to build on in their community, confidence and things like that. So that was one of our case studies that we wanted to portray. We wanted people to know that this is how women do business. We have also we have a case study on the women of Member 2, and we have a case study on Member 2. And for those who are aware of Member 2, they're a small community in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, with about 1,500 population, and they bring in $75 million a year. They bring in $75 million a year because they believed in looking at the assets in their community. And their assets are their people who went away to get educated, who are living in Toronto, who are living in Ottawa, who are living across the country. And they brought them back and they said, let's all work together as a team. And the reason why we have a case study on Member 2 and a case study on the women of Member 2 is because the women of Member 2 are the ones that were the people who were the movers and shakers in that community. So this community is flourishing because of ISO certification, International Standard Organization, and that all stemmed from this small little community of women. So we made that a case study in our program as well, because we wanted the women who are in our program from across Canada to learn that they are leaders in so many ways, and that you don't have to be a leader just because you're a politician. That's the only leadership role in leadership. There's all kinds of different roles. Fort McKay First Nation, if anyone's aware of Fort McKay First Nation, the women there really rallied together, a group of women in their community, to fight about the oil sands and building up their community and building up their spirit in a place where there isn't that much spirit to look at. So in my mind, I think that it's so important that the difference that we do see between Aboriginal women and Aboriginal men leaders is that women really care for the whole. Women go out there and listen to what the problems are. Women go out there and they lead because of the knowledge that they learn from the people. And I think that that is the main leadership style that is different from males to females. Thank you.